Hello everyone, my name is Dorian and welcome to Phillip Island with the F3. This is my first time on this track and I wish I've done it sooner. It's actually a ton of fun. This track is all about being patient and making compromises, so when you get things right, it's very rewarding. Now I'm just going to show you guys the lap real quick and then we're going to go over it corner by corner. There's a setup in my Discord that I've tweaked from the baseline, so if you want, there's a link in the description, you can go grab it there. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and if you want to see more track guides and race videos, then subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the track. Okay, so we're coming up to turn number 1. Let's look for a turn-in point because it's flat out. You'll notice that I'm quite slow into the apex. I'm not trying to flick the car in too early because I want to stay on the right for turn number 2. So I'm just hugging the right side and I'm looking for a braking point. There's a break off right here on the white line, so slightly before it. You'll see me start braking right around here. And peaking around 40%. Pretty immediate release into trail braking, just downshifted into 5th, letting the car roll into the corner, very reminiscent of a GTE car here. And just trail braking for a very long time, you'll see it again in a few other corners here. You're just gonna have to be very patient with the brakes and the throttle and the wheel. Patience is key here. Rolling the car into the corner, very slight dab of the brakes, just keeping some weight on them so it doesn't run wide on me. Around this hut, as I'm parallel to it, that's where I'm gonna go back to the power, and again very gently, so 50, 60, 70%. Staying on the inside here because I want to clip a light apex. You can see that the curb on the left is quite smooth the whole way through. So if we take a look at it, smooth, and it starts breaking off towards the latter part of it. And right here, there's a break off point, so you can spot it right around here. Let that be your apex. As I reach it, open up the wheel, already back at 100% at this point. And I'm letting the car run wide because you don't have to stay on the rubber. There's actually plenty of grip on the outsides because you're carrying a lot of speed. You got the downforce keeping you in check. And if you really have to, you can use the curb on the outside. I didn't need it, but potentially it's a little bit smoother if you do. Now, taking a nice short route here, I'm not trying to stay on the rubber. This is 1/2 tenth just sticking to the left here. So it's amazing how these little inputs matter. Now we're gonna brake slightly before the 100. Let's call it the 110. Putting 2 wheels on the left curb, and I'm gonna brake right around here. Peaking very high, I would say around 75%. And downshifting from 6th all the way down into 2nd. Just put it in 3rd, and I'm gonna get the rotation done early in 3rd. And only now into 2nd. Already trail braking at this point. You don't want to carry a lot of brakes into this corner. The rear end has a tendency to snap. So you don't want to stay on the brakes for too long at all. 75% down into 50%, staying on for a little bit. Into 3rd, and you start releasing more and more. By the time you reach 2nd, you should already be in trail braking. It feels like you can brake later than that, but the rear end doesn't hold. And I'm letting the car, I'm not trying to, Not trying to grab an early apex here, in fact, pretty late. So I'm just hugging the curb on the inside. Staying on trail braking for a very, very long time, just keeping the weight in the fronts. And only now back to the power. Now there's two events here that cause the rear end to snap. One is right around here. So the back end does like to snap out, so you can see I'm opening up the wheel quite quickly. And another one right around here, you can see me preemptively opening up the wheel. See, the car is like starting to slide around right here on the exit. It's always going to want to do that, even in third gear, so there's no point in using third. You're just going to have to be very quick with opening up the wheel. IRFFB really helps on this track. If you don't already know, I've made a guide for that. So that could really help you here. All the way up to fourth gear, and our braking point is at the tip of this curb. And we're going to brake very gently, roll into the corner in fourth gear in a very late downshift into third. You can see I'm not peaking very high at all here. Call it 40%. And immediately rolling it into trail braking, just carrying the speed from the outside, trying to grab the apex from the middle, just now into third. Trying to carry as much entry speed as possible here, not to scrub it off. And there's always a point here halfway through it where the car kind of wants to snap out. It's gonna happen right around here. I'm gonna open up the wheel, and once that happens, I'm gonna go past 50%. So I'm only gonna give it 50%, being very patient. Look at how long I am on the throttle with 50%. Just trying to maintain the weight, not trying to upset the car at all. It's very slippery. And after I catch it back to 90 and then 100%, then the car run all the way to the outside and you're through. Grabbing this apex and the next one. And a very tricky part that took me a while to figure out. It's actually a lot of fun once you do. It's a very rewarding track, so you're gonna have fun here if you figure it out. I'm gonna start lifting right around here. There's no braking point. You don't brake, and there's no. I mean, I don't see any signs here. Anything that I did reduce my graphic settings, so you might see something here. But this is where I lift to around 40%, and then a little bit more into around 20%. And you can see a lot of modulation. Let's go over the whole sequence here, just nice and slow. Back to around 90, and then releasing it again. I'm just trying to hug the inside the whole way through, so I'm reacting with the throttle to what happens to the car. If I'm getting too much rotation, I'm going to give it some throttle. If I'm not getting enough rotation, I'm going to lift. And right around this point, the car has a tendency to kick out, just understeer, wash out to the outside. You can see I'm back to around 50%. And as the car straightens out, it gets a little light. So you're going to have to be careful with that. Back to 100%, staying on the left. And braking, if this is the 50, I would say right at the 60. So braking slightly before this. And around 45%, you can't really peak too high, but you will need to stay on the brakes for a very, very long time here. You're going downhill, and you can't carry too much speed into this corner. You really have to make a huge compromise here. Downshifting all the way into second gear. And see how lazy I am with the turn-in. How little brakes I'm using when I'm turning in the car. The more I turn it in, less braking. Very minimal trail braking right as I reach the apex. Flipping the curb nicely. And you have to be very patient with the throttle here. So around 60%. And just staying on it for a little bit. Squeezing a tiny bit more out of it. And as I open up the wheel back to 100, it feels like you can go right back to 100%. You can't. The rear end will snap. Even if you catch it, you will overheat the rear tires and you won't have any grip for the double left-hander here. So this left-hander is probably the trickiest corner on the track. Very hard to put the power down, and with cold tires, nearly impossible. You really have to be careful and lift a lot. If on the exit here, you snap the rear end even a little bit and you catch it and you feel like it's fine, you're gonna lose the rear end again going to the left. So really have to avoid that, but being extra patient. Going out to around the middle of the track. I'm not trying to use all of the track because I want to open up this corner a little bit. Upshifting into third. Now there's a couple ways to go about this. One would be to stay in third and lift just a tiny bit. So you can see I'm not clipping the inside, I'm hugging the inside. to around 90% with the throttle and staying on it till I feel the car is stable again. The other would be to stay flat and upshift into fourth. Now, both of these possibilities are only available to you when the tires are nice and warm and the car is a little bit lighter. So on first 3 or 4 laps, don't even think about it. Just lift, fourth, third, whatever you're comfortable with, because you can short shift here and still carry good speed on the exit. But whatever you're comfortable with, you're gonna have to be very careful with the throttle on the exit here. The problem is it's gonna want to kick out, and then you correct it, and then you wash out. And you keep washing out because it shuts in on you and you don't have enough runoff. It's really tricky. It took me a long time to figure it out. Taking the car all the way to the outside. I am using the curb, just making micro corrections with the wheel, making sure the back end doesn't kick out. So I'm opening up the wheel and closing it again, opening and closing it again. Now taking a very short route here, it does give you some time, about half a tenth. So I'm just hugging the curb from the entry the whole way through, and then only at the end letting it run wide. And that will give us a 1:22.327. Hope you guys enjoyed this track guide. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to see more track guides and race videos, then subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.